Welcome, everyone, to the Healing Sexual Trauma Summit. I'm Marcy Little, your host, and with us today we have Dipal Shah. Dipal, welcome.
Thank you so much, Marcy. I'm so happy and delighted to be here with you.
Yay. Okay. In a second, I'm going to tell you how incredible Dipal is and the work that she does and why she's here, or why I asked her, and she'll tell us why she agreed. But first, let's just take a moment to get as present as we can. And that may just start by noticing how your breath is flowing. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes to tune in more to the internal realm of your being. You can bring awareness into your feet. And again, noticing the flow of your breath. Where in the body are you breathing? Is there a potential for even a deeper breath? Can you allow your pelvis to be heavy and weighted? Bring the energy down and into the body, get out of the head. And soften the muscles of the face. Soften the jaw. And just for a moment, see if you can let go of the tongue inside of your mouth. When you're ready, we'll come back. If your eyes are closed, you can open them back up. Dipal and I are here to greet you. And please just be paying attention as you listen to the signs of your body. If at some point your body is saying, ah, in whatever way that might happen for you, a tightening in the chest, your breath getting shallow, or just a sudden desire to move or get away, please respond to that, respect that, put the video on pause, take a break, run around, make tea, pet your dog, take your dog for a walk, pet your cat, come back when you're ready. Okay. Dipal Shah, wonderful to have you. All right, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Dipal. Dipal Shah is an internationally acclaimed mindset and health transformation expert, a global speaker and spiritual mentor, celebrated by clients across the globe who refer to her as the body whisperer. As a recognized expert in the field of energy medicine, Dipal is the creator of the Quantum Body Awakening Technique. Her globally taught course teaches individuals how to become the master of their own health and well-being. Dipal has helped thousands in over 92 countries break free from chronic health problems in conjunction with or where Western medicine has failed. Dipal has helped her clients create powerful and profound shifts inside and out, allowing them to find more joy and inspiration in all aspects of their life. That just sounds wonderful to me, Dipal.
I love what I do.
Yeah, I can see why. Really, really. In a second, I'm going to ask you to tell us more about how you got to where you are. But first, I want to ask you the same question I ask everyone, which is, what made you want to be part of the Healing Sexual Trauma Summit?
So, Marcy, to tell you the truth, as soon as I saw your email and as soon as I saw sexual trauma, my eyes lit up, my body started tingling, and I said, I have to do this. And it's only because I know how it feels to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go through something like that, there's so much involved, so much healing involved, and it feels like it's never ending. It impacts your relationships tremendously, whether they're intimate relationships or just, anybody. And I feel like this really if I can tell my story and if I could help one person through what they're experiencing right now and what they're going through, and if their past is coming back and haunting them, then I have done more than I possibly could. And so when I saw that email, I really did want to be part of this summit and give whatever knowledge and advice that I could to all the men and women who have gone through something like this. And like I told you before, right before we got on this interview call, I was looking up the statistics, and I always look at these statistics to see what's going on, because is it really true? Are the numbers really true, or are they falsified? What I was seeing is that 1 in 3 women have gone through some form of sexual assault between the ages of 11 and 17. And then men, it was 1 in 4 men going through sexual assault between the same ages. Now, I truly don't believe that. I feel like a lot of men and women don't necessarily come out. In my culture, if we look at India, and if I look at the statistics there, which I didn't get a chance to, but if I do, barely anyone will talk about sexual assault. They won't talk about anything that has to do with sexuality. And that's the thing. What's the fear behind that? And why are we so afraid to talk about it? And, as children, of course, there's that fear, right? You're not going to say, oh, yeah, I've been sexually assaulted, because you have no control of what's going to happen, where this is going to go, where it's going to lead. There's too much uncertainty as a child to come out. But as an adult, I feel like that fear still sticks. And it impacts us in so many different aspects of our lives. And so thank you so much for having me here. It is an honor. And I can't wait to share what I have to share with everyone today.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for that. And thanks for also sharing personally. And yeah, I agree with you. The statistics, I don't think, are even close to being accurate. All right. We want to know more about you and how you became known as the body whisperer.
So believe it or not, I used to be a pharmaceutical sales rep. And then now I am an entrepreneur of the mind-body medicine. And I left my career in pharmaceuticals because I was going through a hard time. I was very stressed out. And for years, I did want to leave. I just lost my passion and my purpose, which I never thought that I would, because my dream ever since I was a sophomore in high school and college was to become a pharmaceutical sales rep. And so I geared my studies in that way. I became a biochemist. I got my biochemistry degree, and then I went ahead and got my MBA. And this led me to excel in the pharmaceutical industry. I was thriving, but it came to a point where I was traveling a lot. It was very stressful. And at the same time, I was going through my own debilitating issues within my body, which I never took the time to look at. I figured that the conventional medicine would help me. I was calling on gastroenterologists, and my problem was digestive issues from top to bottom. I mean, I kid you not, I must have had everything from ulcers to gallbladder issues, kidney stones. Oh, wow. I mean, I had everything from fissures, hemorrhoids, reflux, you name it, I had it. Wow. And it was one thing after another, and I was really in a lot of pain and just exhausted. Yeah. So what I did was I quit my job one day and I said, okay, I'm going to take that step and I'm going to take care of myself. And I did. And that's when I discovered complementary alternative medicine and all the different aspects of complementary alternative medicine. So I started yoga, I started meditation, and I even stumbled upon crystals, and I studied the crystals. The same teacher that I studied crystals with was also teaching Reiki, which a lot of people are probably familiar with. Mm-hmm. And it's a modality of energy healing.
Mhm.
So I started to dive into that, and I really found it obliterating, like just it made my body just jump for joy,
Uh-huh.
knowing that there's something more than conventional medicine that can help the body. And so the more I dove into energy healing and all the different modalities, I mean, I must have studied 10 different modalities or more. And I love it. And that's what got me to where I am, because I started to see the difference that it made. Not only did I take the yoga, the meditation, and energy healing, but I also ate the right foods. I just wanted to branch out into the natural way of healing. And when I brought all of it together, it started to heal my body. And today I am completely free of digestive issues, and I am living the body of my dreams. Okay, forget the life of my dreams, because I feel like my health is wealth. And so if I don't have my health, I feel like nothing else really matters. And I know that that is probably true for a lot of people, because if you don't feel well and if you have a lot of money, what good does that do? Right? I mean, you could have this amazing career, which I did, and it didn't do much for my body. I needed more. And so today I help thousands of people all around the world with their health issues, whatever that comes up, whether they want to use conventional medicine, or they're just looking for alternative ways of healing. And alternative medicine is becoming the next best thing. And the more people that know about it, the better it is, because we want to have options. We just don't know where to go.
Mhm.
And so that's how I became known as the body whisperer.
Uh-huh. That's awesome. And you're radiant. You're
And
radiant.
what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You're radiant. You look radiant. Like you
Oh, yes,
radiate,
thank you.
radiate the good health and all that you just said. And okay. And um and now you have this capacity, sort of like, I mean, when we think of somebody who whispers to the horse or to the whoever, it's like you can sort of, the language of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So how I wasn't always very intuitive. I didn't have healing gifts. I know people are born with it. They just don't know how to use it.
Mhm.
By the age of 7, what happens is that we start to disconnect from that divine intuitive energy. Okay, that very intuitive part of us. And it's not normal to be talking to spirits. It's not normal to be talking to angels. And so for me, not that I did that, I don't remember if I did. However, I learned my gifts. And when I started learning my gifts of seeing, hearing, feeling, the very first thing that came to me was feeling. I could feel what's happening in somebody's body.
Yeah,
So if they were having heart pain, I could feel that pain.
yeah.
And then that pain talks to me. Like, is it a grief? Is it loss? Is it something else? Is it high blood pressure where the heart's not balancing the pressure? And a lot of these things have a lot of the issues, that physical issues and symptoms that show up in the body, was also showing me where it came from.
Mm.
So what the root cause of this could be.
Mhm.
Could it be that, we put so much pressure on ourselves that it's not giving the body enough oxygen to breathe and allowing the blood to flow? Yeah, maybe.
Mhm.
I've worked with so many people that have thyroid issues, and I literally talk to their thyroid.
Mhm.
What is going on? And the thyroid responds.
Uh-huh.
And so speaking to the body, I just love it, because we can all do that. We can all even speak to our own body and say, hey, body, what do you need from me?
Mhm.
Why are you presenting this pain?
Mhm.
We just don't think we can. But each and every one of us, we can use this ability and become our own body whisperer. And that is one of the things that I do teach with quantum body awakening modality that I teach, because I noticed that a lot of people do want to have this ability to speak to their body, their families. They want to help their families, or they want to help people around the world and create a business. And so having these abilities, now it's accelerated to where I can see beyond into other dimensions of the body. And that's the beauty of it, because we have so many energy systems within the body. And nobody ever taps into that, because can energy be stuck there?
Mm-hmm.
Energy can be stuck anywhere, creating chaos within the body.
Mm-hmm.
And it all depends. How can we see that? How can we tap into that
Mm-hmm.
to release that physical energy?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it does come from trauma,
Yeah.
any form of trauma.
Yes.
And so when you can tap into that, that's the beauty of helping the body.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that piece in, of the trauma piece, because yeah, things get stuck with those imprints, and then we need help sometimes just to release where it's stuck on all the levels that you're talking about. Awesome.
Yeah, because they play like, recorders, programs. They're like algorithms that just keep going in our mind. And we just happen to have triggers because they keep running. But what if we can dissolve that emotional entanglement within the programs and stop the program from running, right? What kind of freedom can we actually discover?
Right. It
And
becomes
how can we
clear
feel?
space.
Yes.
As opposed to this knotted, complicated. Awesome. I want to talk to you about the voice, the importance of the voice, and the voice being power.
Yeah. So for me, when I was going through a few incidences within my time, I found that voice, I never voiced the word no. And I feel like that's what led to continuous incidences and the extension of the time frame for each of those incidents. Because when I said no, it stopped. But it took me forever. As a child, it's interesting because as infants, we want the infants to talk, right? Because they're not talking, they're just mumbling and you can't understand. And you're like, oh, just say a word, say this word, say that word. And we want to hear them talk. And then as children, the parents are like, be quiet, shut up, I'm tired of listening to you, right? Where's the cheering? Where's the listening? And so then we as humans, as a soul and spirit, we shut down that voice. And then when a traumatic experience happens, we don't know how to use that voice because we're afraid that, are we going to get in trouble? Are we going to be neglected or abandoned? What's the point? And so that stuck with me. My dad was very strict. And when things came to the forefront, my mom threw it under the cover and she said, we won't ever discuss this again. And that's the hard part. But at that time, I didn't realize it until years later. And now I'm so expressive because I'm tired of being shut up. And I'm not afraid to say no. That's in any instance. If I don't feel like doing something, I don't feel that pressure because I know who I am and I know what I believe, and I don't have to take on other people's beliefs and culture, because culture plays a huge role. Society plays a huge role in why we shut that voice down. And I want to tell you, for anyone that's listening, your voice is your power. And please, they don't teach this to children in school. And you as a parent or a guardian, teach your children to use their voice, and that no is okay. Because, the first word out of a child's mouth is what? No. They're always shaking their head, no. But we're like, no, you can't say no. You have to say yes.
Mm, especially as
Well,
female.
guess what?
Yeah.
No can be used when it needs to be used. And that's what we need to teach our children.
Yeah. And I think being in the body that has been sexually violated, the no gets lost.
It does.
And so how much more important it is even to realize, like you're saying, that this is my body and I can say no. And if I can't say no, I can't actually say yes. So learning that that's its whole journey, really. And you've been on that journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And me too. And probably everybody who's listening on some level has been on that journey.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you talked a little bit about being expressive and using your voice. Is there anything more you want to add about that?
Yeah, there's many instances in our lives that I mentioned where we need to express ourselves. And, I'll never forget, there was a time in my life where it wasn't a sexual experience, but it's other experiences where we don't use our voice and say no, right? And I'll never forget, I was pregnant and I was about 5 or 6 weeks. We lived in Kentucky. And one weekend, my mom decided that they wanted to go to this temple out in Pennsylvania. So it's about a 7 to 8 hour drive. And I kept saying no. Okay. And this is the thing. Sometimes people don't hear you or don't want to listen to what you have to say. And they try to convince you and convince you. And at this point, I was bedridden because I was bleeding and not sure if I was going to be able to hold the child or not. And so there was a lot of anxiety and fear going on within me. And nobody understands. Here's the thing. Nobody understands what you're going through. And that's why it's so important to express your voice, because until you explain it and be very clear and confident in what you're saying, they are not going to understand. And even after that, they're not going to understand. They're going to judge you. They're going to criticize you. They're going to say anything and everything, but it does not matter. And so I gave in. I gave in. There are times that you're going to give in too. I gave in. I went and, of course, I laid in the back of the car, but I went to make my mom and dad happy. However, 2 days later, I was the saddest person because I lost the baby. And I wish I had said no. I mean, maybe it was already going to happen. But of course, you're always trying to find a reason, right? Oh, maybe because I went to Pennsylvania, that happened.
Yeah.
Right. But I knew inside of me that I should have said no. And we know inside each and every one of us, there is a voice when something doesn't feel right. And I want you to use that voice because that is the most important voice that you have, that inner voice.
Yeah.
And when something doesn't feel right, speak up and stick with it.
Yeah.
Because that was my lesson learned at that time. And there's many, many lessons that I have learned over time. And it gets easier and easier to use your voice and express yourself.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. And as I was taking that in, it's almost like speaking to the child. It's almost like you're talking to that young part of ourselves that's quieter sometimes when she needs to say no. If she hasn't learned how to say no yet or been given opportunities to be listened to when she says no. It's like it's so quiet at first. And I write about this in my book too. I call it the sacred no, and it's very quiet at first. So learning how to hear it is like the first thing, and then to respect it. Yeah, and then to use it and express it, just like you're saying. So thank you for that. Let's talk a little bit about self-acceptance and the healing process?
So accepting yourself holds the key to using your voice and your healing journey. It's accepting all parts of you, your mistakes, your lies, your faults, everything about you. Accepting that you did go through the experience, and accepting that that's also the past. Once you are able to accept all of this, you're able to live in your truth. Because we all have to learn from the past in order to become our truth of who we are. Because that helps us acknowledge who we are and what we stand for and the beliefs. Because we always take on everyone else's beliefs. And we don't have to do that. We can create our own and live in our own truth. So all of our experiences are about learning and growing. It's all about growing. And that's the key, because while we're growing, we have to stop the judgment and the blaming, which we do along the way of growing. And that's what we need to stop. We don't have certain experiences. And I'll tell you the truth, Marcy, is that I really am grateful for all of my experiences, the good, bad, the ugly, because it made me who I am today. And that is just so profound and powerful to me. If you don't like what you see in the mirror, then something needs to change. And that's where I was, where I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I was a controlling, angry, and just not a nice person. And I didn't see that. Other people saw that. I didn't see that. I just said, oh, I am who I am because it runs in me. It's genetic. The anger is genetic. The controlling is genetic. I blamed it on things, but I couldn't take the responsibility for myself that I don't have to be that way. And yeah, maybe I have unresolved trauma. I didn't see that either. And once I did see that through energy healing and other complementary alternative medicine, I came to know that, wow, there was so much stuck within me. You know, as humans, we hold on to 90% of our emotions. They're repressed. And so they just continuously keep coming up through our experiences. And so once you accept that, hey, I have these emotions, right when they show up, then acknowledge them and deal with them at that time. That's going to be the key to start your healing. And so, start self-love. I provide self-love tips every Mondays and Thursdays on my Facebook group. So come and follow me on Dipal Shah, because they are amazing 2 to 3 minute tips that you can take away on just loving yourself. Because I had to learn that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we all do if you've been through some form of sexual experience, because you might feel yucky. You might feel like you can't even touch yourself or have someone else touch you.
Right.
And I know people like that.
Yeah. And how can you accept yourself if when you're looking in the mirror, you can't stand who you see?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't accept yourself, nobody else will. And you will see it affecting every part of your, not only in relationships, but your health, your career, maybe even your finances. I mean, every single aspect of your life, you're going to see bits and pieces that are connected because of the sexual trauma that you've been through. And so in order to accept yourself, here's what you could do. You have to learn to stop judging and blaming and stop living in the past. Okay? Even when the subconscious wants to go there, you have to pause and breathe because the subconscious will want to go there. We're not always conscious of what we think, right? So we have to start paying attention to our thoughts. Start doing affirmations for yourself. You know, one of the affirmations that I loved to say was, I am stepping into my truth. I am powerful. I am moving forward. And just shutting up that inner critic was huge because that inner critic had lots of messages for me that I didn't like.
Right. And lots of power. And so you were taking the power back.
Yes.
Yeah. Taking the power back. Yeah. Cool.
And stop comparing yourself to others. In order to accept ourselves, that's the biggest thing that our mind wants to keep doing, is comparing ourselves to others. And it gets exhausting. It actually uses up a lot of our energy. And so when you stop comparing yourself, you start living in your truth. You start accepting yourself. And then everything that you want in your life starts to manifest. And it feels like you're free and peaceful and you're happy because now it's all about you, baby.
Yeah. As I listen, it reminds me how important it is to have a mindfulness practice like meditation or yoga or just sitting with yourself in order to begin to see what it is you're talking about here, because it does live just below the first layer of consciousness. And so, you know, what you're really talking about, Dipal, is like, is self-knowledge. It's like being present enough to be able to know what voices or what historically unresolved things are have the power and are at work, to be able to see them for what they are, and then get yourself in the driver's seat.
Exactly.
And not be run by them anymore. And it's a process, but it can't really happen without that piece of becoming really self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Right. And obviously you did that.
Oh, and it's continuous work. I'm not going to lie. It is. It's continuous work. And I don't mind doing it because I care about me, you know, and I have to because nobody else will.
Yeah. Right.
So the first thing I say is always take care of yourself. And I learned that, you know, I left the pharmaceutical industry, my career, you know, and I said, you know what, I'm done. And so sometimes we have to take these steps and we don't know what we're getting into. I had no idea that today I'd be sitting here with you talking about this and being on summits and being on media and television and just, you know, just helping thousands of people around the world. That was not even in my realm. And it just happened. And like I said, when you start working on yourself, all these things just start to come together and your life comes together and it just feels so good.
You are living proof. Okay, so I think we kind of talked about this. Tips for people to start using their voice. Is there anything more that you want to add about that?
You know, I feel like sometimes you need to, when you start using your voice, start slowly. Because if you don't, it becomes too much pressure and you'll never use your voice again, right? So start saying no and start, or whatever you want to say. You know, no is not always going to be the answer, but maybe I can't or not at this time, right? There's always different ways of creating boundaries, right? What we're trying to do with voice is start to create boundaries. And so start slowly, because for me, when I started using my voice, and it was with my spouse, every time that he would get upset with me or we'd get into a quarrel or a fight, I would completely shut down. And it's because of those imprints of my father scolding me, right? If you have a male energy as a child and you're a female, and there's control and there's yelling and there's punishment, all of this is going to reside, and those programs that I mentioned about earlier will start to turn in your intimate relationships. And so I would shut down. And no matter how much my husband would say, talk to me, I would just shut down.
Right.
And I wouldn't talk for 3 days.
Oh,
That's how intense and deep it was.
wow. Mhm.
So I first started very slowly and I started to speak up. I said, okay, next time he says something, I'm going to speak up. And it felt so uncomfortable,
Yeah.
so uncomfortable
Mhm.
because I was afraid of what was going to come out of his mouth or what he was going to do. I mean, not like he was, abusive in any way. My husband is the sweetest guy and very caring, but that fear of
Mhm.
that male energy was instilled within me.
Mhm.
And I knew, my body just knew what to do when I would get yelled at. And it went into autopilot.
Sure.
And that's what our body does. So start slowly, because I promise you today, I am the most vocal person with everybody, including my husband.
Uh-huh.
And nobody can shut this voice down now. So start slowly and know that nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing at all. You are in control.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And honor your emotions.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows where you stand at all times. I'm like that too. My husband is always like, Marcy, everybody always knows where you stand.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Let's finish with just how you help people. I mean, you've been talking throughout here about the work that you do and how you show up with people. Is there anything more you want to tell us about how you help people?
I teach people to mainly recognize their patterns, right? And how we can start to speak up. We energetically can clear these childhood traumas and do the inner child clearings, start to do certain practices that will start to open up the voice, and the sounds that we make will help open up that voice. So there's a certain way of working with the voice and how to start speaking up and opening up. And so we also have to work with a lot of, like I said, clearing out the trauma and going within and talking to that inner child. But it's all about clearing all these blocks so that you can finally have what you want to see in your life. And so that's how I help people. And not only do I help them with the trauma blocks, but you may have other things in your life, health issues that may be coming up, because a lot of the trauma gets stuck in organs. They don't just get stuck in certain, in the voice box, but they get stuck in certain organs. So let's say maybe you have diabetes. Were you stuffing down all your emotions?
Mm,
Right? Certain organs will say certain things. And for you, we have to find out exactly what your organs are telling us. And that's how I help people just relieve their traumas, their stressors, and anything else going on in their life and in their body to help them find better mental and physical well-being.
Great. Back to you, Dipal Shah. Before we close, is there any final wisdom that you would like to share with us before we end?
I would love to share something that's coming up, and I'm channeling this from a guide who's an ascended master. And the name is Ganesh. And Ganesh is the elephant god in Hinduism. And through his words, he says yes. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to life. Say yes to your opportunities. Say yes to yourself. that you can do anything you put your mind to, anything that you put your energy towards, it will be amplified. And if you need my assistance, I'm here for you. And I really appreciate this opportunity. And thank you so much to Marcy and this beautiful summit. Thank you.
So honored and pleased to have had this time with you and for everything you've shared with us. Thank you so much, Dipal.